First off, before we get into the agenda, let's just go around the table, as we always do, so everybody knows who's here. Am I right?
Emily White from here, Southwestern County Schools Transportation, and if you didn't hear, coffee is up here, juice and bagels are there, and down the hall that way are the restrooms.
And if you're watching on TV, you're not too bad. Yeah, they're still there. Let's keep going.
Yes, CBS. And CBS. Cindy Johnson, FTM.
Rick Cohen, Keith Walton, Northampton Schools. Dave Moore, Plain Transportation.
Andy Smith, I'm taking over half of Emily's safety. So
Just half.
just half.
Anthony
Half of her job.
Askew Hopkins.
Randy Hardy, Prairie Schools. Yerke Dan Hopkins, Public Schools.
Kelly West, Kelly Department of Education.
Paul Davis, Central. Brian Rivers, Central. Mike Roberts.
And I'm John Thomas with Eastern Carver County Schools. Thank you all for being here this morning, and thank you to everybody who's online watching us here. We'll go right into the business meeting, and our illustrious outgoing secretary, I think.
Well, I don't know.
Cool.
We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But I have 10 days left to work and I'm retiring. Minutes for the May 21st, 2014 meeting. Are there any corrections or additions? Does anybody want to copy?
Should we have that for your last?
Yeah.
Official or no?
Well, we don't know. So we got the bombshell there. We're gonna have to wait and see what happens.
Hang on.
Okay. Did no other announcements or anything? Let's just make a note at the since she put it together. At the bottom of the agenda are the meeting dates and the host school districts or host companies for next year. If anybody sees any corrections, let us know. For those of you who are hosting, please email us with the address of where the meeting will be, so that we can get those added into the future minutes. I would appreciate it. Department reports, and we have a full shebang here, which is fantastic. So we'll go right into Kelly, Department of Education.
The paper pupil transportation annual report for reporting fiscal year 14 has been mailed out and posted to our website. Bus inventory listings for 6/30/2014 have been mailed out. They are not available on the website, so if you have any district-owned vehicles, make sure that those listings are up to date. You have to submit a bus transaction form to either add or delete a bus from that listing. There's 4 bus inventory listings. There's the regular big yellow buses, the type 3s, and then there's the special ed regular buses and the special ed type 3s. So make sure that you're using the proper form for each of those bus inventory listings. If you're a DSEC district, the DSEC form and instructions for reporting to get state aid for DSEC transportation are available. They've been mailed out. It's posted to the website as well. Let's see. Oh, and legislation stuff. Yeah, there was legislation passed that strengthen charter schools' requirements to provide the same transportation service as the district does. We had a few outliers out there that I was getting a little nervous and suspicious and frankly kind of ticked off about because they weren't providing transportation. They're still getting their gen ed revenue to do so. There's this part in the state statute that said districts can have parents voluntarily surrender their bus riding services for transportation, and some of these charter schools were taking that a little bit too far. So imagine they had like a yardstick behind their desk and said, yes, you are going to surrender your bus riding. So that got passed in legislation. Other than that, that was the only big thing I think that was. Can you just explain that? The charter school? Yeah. When a charter school elects each year to either have the district provide the transportation or the charter school themselves can provide transportation. And what that choice does, it triggers the general education revenue. Now for fiscal 15, there's 4.66% of this general education revenue, which is about $6,000. And each district gets about, let's say, $6,000 per student. And this earmarked amount of about 5% is for transportation. So depending on that choice for charter schools, they either get that 4.5, the whole amount of gen ed revenue, or if they choose to have the district provide the transportation, that 4.66% goes to the district.
$280.
Yeah, and it's times all of the students that are enrolled, so it's based on an ADM. So it's not based on the reporting in Mars or the resident district or not, it's an all or none. In some districts, it can be like $100,000, $60,000 or so. And that's what they use for transportation. So depending on that choice, it gets swayed one way or the other. Now, when a charter school has to provide their own transportation, the strengthening of that law assures that they have to provide like transportation like any district. Basic law says 2 miles or more from school. They have to be in regulated bus vehicles. The drivers have to be trained and licensed, any of that stuff. And then that includes that piece about voluntarily surrendering their bus riding privileges. So it's all encompassing, not just the voluntary surrendering part. Because what they were doing, they were just saying, well, we're not going to provide transportation, you're on your own. And really what that does is it segregates the charter school and makes them like the private school, which is a big no-no in the education world. And so it's like, okay, only people that have a car or they have parents that can accommodate this transportation will take you in, but we won't provide transportation for anybody else that, So that was a real big issue with our charter school office, that they were being segregated to only certain population that could get transportation to their schools. So, thank you. Hopefully that.
Anything else, Kelly?
I think that's it.
Okay. Any questions for Kelly? Maybe Kelly? No? All right. Then we'll go over. Right.
All right. The School Safety Center is coordinated a team and put together kind of a response or resource group. We had a first meeting about a month ago, which consists of the Community State Fire Marshal, the Indy has some representatives, Department of Health, EPS as communications there, basically in order to respond to a school crisis. And that could vary from anything, we think of that because it's tragedy or a school shooting, but it could be some sort of health epidemic or weather-related incident. We really regard the response as very similar to trying to develop some sort of system or group in place that provide resources to schools, so you have somewhere to go, someone to rely on, especially that media stuff. When you see the incident happen, thankfully nothing did happen. The district thought they had to handle it. They were prepared to deal with the media aspect of it, the national media outcomes, and even in the bullying incident with the bus driver, Boston. Again, the NDE's communication person tried to reach out to them and just offer some assistance. We want to help the media. Nobody got it. Well, then all of a sudden, all the national media shows up. And it gets a lot bigger, a lot more than we anticipate. So trying to develop a system to provide the support, if you get things underway, so you have somewhere to go, provide information you need, and then eventually turn it back over. Not taking it over, but provide the assistance if needed, if you want those people to kind of run with it initially they can, and then get it where it needs to go. In that process, will change several hands. There will be a point where law enforcement is heavily activated, still an investigation, and that will turn over to a point for recovery or getting people back in place, getting students back in schools, counseling. So that's why MDE and Department of Health is all involved as well. And then people often forget, fire marshals got to approve any changes or if some immense damage in the school, whether it be a door or anything like that. They get final oversight or inspection process of the building ground. So, and I'm a part of that just to keep transportation in mind, because from what I hear from going around and talking to people, I always feel like we're getting left out. They think, okay, we're going to have an incident, now we need buses there. How are we going to get the buses there? We have a plan in place for that. Who's going to drive the buses? A lot of these drivers are working second jobs and not around. So, I'm a part of that just to kind of keep that in perspective with people. Yes.
Consider the access possibility of mobile fire command centers, like we have to set the big one, right? To the area that will be set up, larger metro areas.
That'll be a mutual aid type thing, certainly. And that's, again, kind of one common resource that they pull together at short notice and try to come up with those mitigating options. But also, the NCSD sent out information at the beginning of June, and after Congress on school transportation for the 2015 or the 16th National Congress. I sent an email to John, Taylor, president of MAPT, Rudy, president of MSBOA, and Joe, the last name from the technicians. And if you want to follow up on that too, that'd be helpful. We need to come up with our state delegation on who we're sending by the end of July. NCSD wants to know we get to have 7 official delegates. We can send alternates. So kind of what I anticipated. Wayne and I will be going. Like that one from the technician group, one from the MAPT, one from the MSBOA. Kelly's not able to go, so it's out somebody from the safety committee here. So we can get somebody from each group, and then also get both organizations involved as well. Changes or any requests for changes have to be submitted by the end of August, and there is a specific form that you have to use in the format. If anybody does want to submit changes on the national specifications. So
Where is that accessible?
go on the NASDAQ's website, and there'll be a link for the National Congress on there.
When is the National Congress?
May 2015.
5 days, the whole week. You only cut it down to 2 days, but we don't cut it down.
Where is that?
Orangeburg, Missouri.
Yeah, 50 states arguing over
May 15th through the county first.
procedures and policies.
Other than that, I met with the county attorney yesterday in Winona for potential charges on the cases where they were modifying the brake warning device. She had some questions on whether or not we could get the level of child endangerment that she felt we would be able to, good enough to charge it, and hopefully she focused on that. She wanted to, she was frustrated with part of the word in the statute. Her ultimate concern was the word likely in the statute. To get the child endangerment level, it needs to be likely to endanger the child's safety or life. And we proved that likely would have done that.
Can you give us some background on that?
Something. Yeah, I should get your background on that. We got a complaint from somebody in the area that the bus company is doing with some driver issues and then also some maintenance issues as well. Except for annual inspections, over the past, they would go in and plug in the brake modules because mechanics had disabled them because the alarms would buzz and drivers get annoyed with the buzzing going off. And rather than diagnosing why they were buzzing, they disabled them. But for inspections, they plug them back in because they would not alarm until buses were up to normal operating temperature. So when we would come in, everything would cycle. It was a one particular model, the Uber Vision buses. And initially, this module was on the exterior of the firewall. Uber had a parts recommendation that we rerouted and relocated to the interior of the bus, so it's not exposed to condensation, moisture, debris, anything like that. Apparently, prior to our last annual inspections, somebody was there to assist with the bus's ready asset. They needed to plug these modules back in, and they said, no, you got to take care of, and the chips have been removed from the module. So it's plugged into the housing, so it looks like it's all intact, but when you unplug it, there's no circuit board in there or anything for it to communicate with. So you would have no indication if you had a brake failure. There's clearly an intentional deliberate act to bypass the system rather than replace the module if it was strictly just the module right now because it's a broken issue, rerouting it, $165 part. But, you know, if it is going on, the manual even says stop immediately and get it serviced to figure out what's going on because that's brake failure.
So this is a merge issue, a service order, and determine how to move that module to the use, right? So we'll work with
It wasn't a technical service bulletin or anything like that. They did have a part number assigned to it and explain how to complete that procedure.
And that component is not only for the vision, but it was for the IC bus too.
Yep, IC used it up until 2003. Thomas used a similar system. I don't know if it's that same module or not.
There's a critical aspect here, we consider the aging fleets. And if this issue is addressed. Right, might it not be another fleet besides this one?
We're gonna find out.
And that's something that we're watching for.
Their heads hurt because this cycling process changes from couple years, changes by model, changes by make, and everything like that, so,
Although it operates, and it just, yeah, it's.
but this sounds like it's an intentional thing, it's not like they're.
This one was, but in preparation for it, Ethan, one of our inspectors, went to a different terminal just to kind of give an idea of where we would be looking and what we would see. And just when he went to look at it, it was unplugged on that one, and then it was under the dash, unknowingly unplugged to the clear. And then the next day, going back to annual inspections for another carrier after we were in Winona, we had another one that had an inner leak on it and was unplugged as well. So we had to figure out that one was under the dash as well. So it's not something that would be readily seen to a driver, especially under the dash room. If you open up the hood, it's right there on the top of the firewall right in front of where the driver sits. If it's unplugged, it should see something dangling there and wonder why it's not plugged in. But the one under the dash, probably wouldn't detect that to see that. But it does sound like she was going to draft up the phone complaint yesterday, so charged with on that. We talked, or reached out to a trooper in the Painesville, Wilmer area. He talked to the county attorney for the school bus, or the semi that passed on the right. You guys saw the media stuff when that came out. And they're moving forward with charges on that one as well. So that driver that now festival. Yep, he called in within 3.5 hours of that being posted online. He felt better to turn himself in rather than somebody else turn himself in. So he reached out to us.
So that points out the need to training to advise drivers when they open that door. So letting them know not that bus will get that. The rear of the bus for any approaching vehicle and side by side.
Right. And the media clip didn't show all the angles of the camera and all the interior cameras. Right before he opened the door, there were 2 cars passing on the left side. If the ambers were still on, they had time to stop, they should have stopped. But actually, there wasn't a violation, but you can see the driver raise his left hand, it's like, what the heck are you doing? Why didn't you stop? So he's watching one from behind the left, and as he's opening up the door, the semi rolls behind him.
Was that a two-lane highway?
It was 4 lane a ways back, a couple miles back, it dropped to 2 lanes. It was 2 lanes.
So if the trucker hadn't gone right, he'd hit the river.
Or if you got lucky, if somebody had on, right, yeah, right.
Well, you would have back to that car that stopped.
Okay, so the car stopped behind the school bus too. So
And the wreckage would have been, more than likely struck the school with glass.
Okay.
So there's a lot of issues around here.
So they're just going too fast and not paying attention?
Not paying attention, he doesn't remember seeing the bus prior to that second when he had it here. And one of his initial comments is, please tell me I didn't hurt anybody. So that clearly should have stopped after the fact. At that point, you don't even know if he did somebody or not.
I'm thinking that there's a need for a reach out to 2 organizations, MTA, Minnesota Trucking Association, and ETA, American Trucking Association. Because of gravity, this is, you didn't lose it right, but my gosh, it serves as a needed reminder to all of the road operators.
There were a lot of our presentations. Yeah. So, and we got lucky. I mean, let's face it, we got really lucky. And then the day wasn't totally loaded too. The cop, I mean, we got very lucky to get a little wait time for it. That's why I say it was maneuver without tipping it over. Otherwise, it would have gone down.
But our district does a lot of presentations beyond just the school bus industry, commercial vehicles have to be reach out and standards, and it will be using those presentations as well.
Critical orders, the safety director for ETS and the trucking system, they have 2,200 regional nationwide. He's obviously in cloud.
Yeah.
He's been a strong supporter and come into the red conference. He'd be somebody.
Okay. Right. That's all I have. Any questions for me? All right.
Oh, I'm glad the buses are put away for a week. So, been a long winter and the spring wasn't much better, unfortunately. We had a number of high profile crashes. So at the end of the school year here, pedestrians struck. Unfortunately, last day of school up in Rogers, we had the incident where a group who crawled underneath the bus to pick up some items that she had dropped. And had rolled underneath the bus. And that's taking on the parent part that was sitting there, saw the bus starting to move forward with his daughter underneath and ran his car forward, slammed in front of the bus, bringing it to a stop. And she suffered some significant injuries, but I think we'll hopefully make a full recovery. Oh, let's see what else. Yeah, we still had issues with, even in the nicer weather here, children on buses. Just can't stress enough. This isn't about procedure of walking the bus, it's doing and looking. The child sitting right behind the driver with an aide on the bus. They pull back into the bus garage, opens up the door and lets the aide out. She goes in to have lunch. The bus driver drives the bus to the back of the parking lot, sitting in there having his lunch when dispatch gets the phone call, where's so-and-so? Well, I don't know, we checked with the driver. The driver says, well, he didn't arrive today. And he said, no, wait a minute. No, I didn't hop off at school. So, they relay that information. Long and short of it was, they said, check your bus. He turns around and there sits the kid sitting in the bus with him while he's eating his lunch. So, it just happens so easy. And I think we get to the end of the year, that was the last day of school up in the Rogers School District. And people got tired, got complacent, and things happen. So I just really wish that, we're going to stress a lot in our startup meetings about doing proper compartment checks and taking your time and doing it correctly in an effort to try to really avoid this. So, startup presentation wise, speaking for myself, I am absolutely booked. The lieutenant's been gracious enough to cover 3 or 4 of them for me. Just, it's important. We want to get the message out there, so we try not to turn people down. We juggle schedules, and I appreciate the folks that have been willing to adjust some times for me to allow me to squeeze somebody else in there. So, that's been really well received, and I appreciate that. And we're about here on the training trainer. Go from there. So that's probably about all I got.
Okay. Oh, how's your inspections? You guys are helping out with regional inspectors. Is that improving or make some proper inspection?
It goes in spurts. What he's talking about is that we're short some folks on the road. We've had promotions and things with people transfer over to doctors and things, a realignment of some of our staff back to the scale offices. So, we're short on the road. So it just goes in spurts. One day I ended up with pedestrian under the MPC bus followed by the jumper off the 35W bridge. So, give a hand when you can. So,
Those things are important.
yeah. Those are huge paperwork days.
We do have the 20 troopers coming on in August. Really sometimes it's been
The 911 call still addressed to a vehicle, truck, trailer with a wheel. Straight in and give them a location, direction, heading.
Well, have you guys ever thought about doing some type of, just a tape webinar? I know you guys can't be everywhere, especially at a school where somebody could just, you guys tape like some canned message or our presentation so somebody can dial it in, and whether it's at their bus garage or school district or wherever, and just, take an hour of that time to watch your presentation. It is good, and I hear a lot of people say, I think the things about it, these can't be everywhere, so.
That's a thought. Just said, I thought about that, but I don't see why that isn't a possibility.
Even if it was like, 10 or 15 minutes, just, welcome back to the school year kind of thing, and just a reminder of all those safety things. That would be good.
I wonder if we could just, have the camera at one of your presentations or one of the presentations and then just post it on the website.
I'm not opposed to that.
You can think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Lieutenant, that's your report schedule, so let you know what names those are.
I was gonna say, we'll do right.
Oh, yeah. Should be the director.
Somebody's got the highest profile possible.
Yeah. Let's start with folks who are on camera. You see, very challenge. Everything's short.
No, ultimately we prefer to face-to-face contact, but we can't be everywhere. Right. We like to be able to get those questions answered, but, good thought.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, any questions, other questions for Paul?
Well, talked about being short, we'll be a little bit more shorter come July, because I have, one medical inspector that's going to retire, sure testify, he's on that. I understand that.
Which one's that?
One, his name is Peter Swayze, he's up on the north side, he's been with me for another year. So, because we're so short in every place else, we may be short, one of the inspectors in the metro area. We're at 5 right now, and now put it down to 4, so, not a big issue during July and August, in June here in July and August, but, the issue will happen when comes school starts. We always have one person designated person within the metro to respond for our school buses and all protection, so, that may not happen for a long time, staff and the extra troopers that are going to come on the road with truck stuff, so we'll have to see how that works. The only other thing I got is, is that I understand that Ford has redesigned their van, they're called Ford Transit. They now have 3 models. They have an 8-passenger vehicle, an 8-person vehicle, a 10-person vehicle, and a 15-person vehicle. So we know very well that a 15-person one is really good. So, they're old. So I haven't seen these new vehicles yet. They're showing them up in northern metro area, one of the Ford dealers up there. So if you were interested in Type 3s, take a look at one that 10-person vehicle. That's the way it's manufactured. So if you take a look at the door sticker to make sure that it's not classified as a bus, not a school bus. We just got a call yesterday. Somebody got one of those vans, so now they're $20,000 for a new vehicle that you can't.
Wait, can you just clarify for everybody what exactly you mean by it's not stickered right? So I think a lot of people understand that.
We have to, by Minnesota state statute, we can use a van or a car, as long as the manufacturer's design seat capacity is no more than 10 persons, and the GVWR is 10,000 pounds or less. Okay?
So,
Correct.
So when these manufacturers make a van, they do have the old-fashioned 12 or 15 passenger van. And the feds have said that the 12 or 15 passenger van is a non-conforming vehicle because their definition of a school bus is any vehicle designed to carry more than 10 with the driver, and then has to be built to those specific school bus standards. Okay? So that we don't violate federal law, Minnesota's got the Type 3 stuff, and to determine if the vehicle was designed not to carry more than 10, on the sticker that's on the left-hand door, on that sticker, there's a little thing called vehicle type. Now, this has those three precious little letters, MPV, which stands for multiple purpose vehicle. That means that manufacturer has designed that vehicle to carry no more than 10 people, which includes the driver, and is built to a number of safety regulations for site crash impact and other things like that. So that's what we have to do. That's what we take a look for. On the door has the gross vehicle weight rating, tire size, the VIN number, and everything like that. And that's those different vehicle type.
I know it's probably not impossible to see on here, but it's basically your VIN sticker on your door. And then right on there it says type MPV. So if you're getting another vehicle, specifically, I know for example, like Ford will say right on there, if it's not an MPV, it will specifically say not for school bus use. So the manufacturers say that we could, limit our people.
So are those just the vehicles that could possibly go over to non-conforming? Correct. Or so you're not going to see that on a Chevy Malibu or something?
No.
Because that's a full-size van. Well, you wouldn't even see that on a Suburban. The Suburban tank will more than 8 or 9. So
Correct.
It's just the big.
It's just the cargo style or the bigger van. And yeah, in this particular van, they had put it out for bid. Everything that was wheelchair. So when it got manufactured, basically as a truck for their wheelchair rather than doing it as an MPV with wheelchair. So now they have this brand new vehicle that they can't use. Now they're in negotiations with their dealer. Again, our recommendation to you is that if you're going to put these out for bid, go to the statute and specifically cut out the Type 3 language and put that in your bid request, and make sure that it's in black and white that that vehicle must meet the federal standards. It's got to come as an MPV. So, yeah, if you use that vehicle, we can't inspect it, or use it 2 years or something. Yeah, that's a big thing. Plus, the dealer gets stuck because they cannot sell, rent, or lease a non-conforming vehicle. So the dealer's kind of jammed up in the situation too, because now they sold the vehicle.
Okay, now you brought up an interesting comment about we have a 4 crash car in the metro. You mentioned what we really need. Sometimes we have 12 crashes every day. I did get the crash facts from traffic safety from August through the last week in May. We have a few crashes since then, and someone else will consistent. So last year, we had 774 school bus crashes. One was a fatal, the fatality was not the school bus. There were 260 total injuries, 140 of which were school bus occupants. And among those 260 injuries, 8 of them were serious injuries, of which 4 were parking on buses. We had 12 school bus versus pedestrian crashes in 2013-14 school year. Actually, it was 13 because this is not the one. So 15 total passengers, the pedestrians were struck. And then we had 9 other crashes that they had come in that was reported being the bus indirectly involved. So while the bus was unloading or unloading, the lights flashing, the crashes happened around the school bus at that time. And that was strictly a pedestrian, so that would have been children that were struck during loading and unloading purposes.
It's school bus return.
I asked from August through, I think the pedestrian I asked, the day I asked, and the before was June 9th. So whatever was in the system at that point, it's hard to report it. Like I said, that's even one the officer might not have the report done, so it wasn't in the system yet. So I was going for school.
Can we get those guys at some point? Get them to Emily or Goodwin?
We'll do that with that. Do that in the next 10 days.
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. It is a,
I'm still wondering what the reason is. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Who's going to talk to your folks here? This is a little weird.
I needed a ride.
I noticed you had driven there, yeah.
Chauffeur right there.
They're walking with yours, Keith.
I'll start off. We're working on a compliance issue with our motor vehicle driving record. With the MAPTSafetyandSpecialEd requirement, we're required to have all the medical certificate information in the actual driving record. So that way, obviously, with MAPTSafety's going to be eventually going away here, where the driver will not even be given a copy of it necessarily. How is everybody going to know what is that information? So a requirement from the federal level is that every state incorporate that information into the actual driving record. So we've been had a meeting yesterday on it. We've been proving up, creating what this document's going to look like. It's going to be able to be printed from a web-based rather than the old mainframe where the actual driving record is stored. And it's kind of looking kind of neat. And so that kind of trying to spin it up too. So right now when you print out a driving record, it doesn't really even say at the top that it's from Minnesota or anything. So we're kind of just going to spin it up and put a logo on it and specify that it's from the Minnesota Department of Public Safety and everything. So I think we're moving in the right direction with that. Of course, we have to do it. So that way we'll be in compliance, and then everybody will have that information. They will have everything that's actually on the MAPTSafetyandSpecialEd. So if the driver is restricted to the corrective lenses when driving a commercial vehicle or a hearing aid or anything like that, it will all be visible on the driving record. So that's kind of fun news that we're working on there. And it involves programming and that, and our programmer is really moving on this. So we created a high project lead soon here. Another thing we're working on, and it kind of came up with the conversation I had with Sergeant after that, about the driver, and it kind of triggered what our DBS medical waiver looks like. Which is pretty late with the conclusion I came to when I was talking with Chad. It's not really clear that it looks like an actual waiver, especially in comparison to when you look at the DOT waivers and the waiver issued by FFCSA. So we're working with our communications group to create our waivers look a lot different also in the future here. Again, we'll have more of a letterhead on it to specify what the waiver's for. Be very clear as far as the issue and expiration date on it. In particular, if it's a diabetes waiver, that it lists all the maintenance requirements that the driver is required to comply with. I think that gets missed because it's in the application process and the driver signs to it, but I don't think they really understand what they're required to do if they're insulin dependent and have that medical waiver that they're supposed to keep a log, that they're supposed to have insulin and that type of thing available if they were to need it during the route. So we're working on updating our waivers, and when we get them created, we'll let you know when they're going to be rolling out. So that's kind of another project that we're working on. But are kind of good because I think that will help everybody in the industry. We verified, we've gone back and looked in the CDL manual about the whole topic of the post-trip inspection and checking, checking that children are on board and a few other things you should be checking on your post-trip. And that information is in the CDL manual currently. For the school bus rodeo, we actually quickly drafted up a question on that topic. And I don't believe anybody even missed the question that was contested at the rodeo. So that's good news. So obviously the drivers kind of can figure out from a knowledge test that yes, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to check for it. But again, how do you get them to actually perform that duty? Which is always a challenge with anything that we do with driving. But we're going to have our test maintenance committee also draft up a couple different versions of that test question. Whenever we have mandatory test questions, we like to have multiple versions of it, so it's not the same question. Even though the knowledge test is automated, it does randomize the answers, but it's just nice to have a couple different versions of the question. So we'll proceed with updating that. As far as hosting the rodeo goes, I enjoyed it. DBS is committed to continue to host the state school bus rodeo in the future as long as we have control of that site. And we did take some time to kind of review some of the questions that were missed by the rodeo contestants from the knowledge test, which is kind of nice having it on the automated system because we can then take a look and see how many people are missing this question or that question. And ironically, you may be able to use this for your training going forward, but they get really confused on the mirrors, the different types of mirrors, what the mirrors, how they should be set up or what they should be looking for with the mirrors. And I don't know if it's so much always the terminology with the understanding what a flat mirror is from a crossover mirror to a convex mirror, but just something to throw out there for what we noticed from some feedback looking at those test questions.
And I can tell you from the post-crash situation, those crossover mirrors are essential. They have to be properly adjusted. And that came out in the investigation of the Rogers crash. There were significant issues with the crossover mirrors that was corrected. The cones that were set up in front of the bus became totally visible where they should have been from day one. So I agree with that. I think we get confused, but it's not an excuse.
Was the girl in the front of the bus?
She got out, and it's a little bit unclear whether she went in underneath the step well or just behind it or ahead of it, but she crawled up underneath the bus. And I don't know if she got underneath the axle beam, but somehow she ended up underneath there. And that's what we're surviving anyway. So unfortunately, the family has, in our business, we refer to it as lawyered up, and don't even talk to law enforcement anymore, so we can't even get a statement to figure out what's really going on here.
From a training aspect with respect to bus evacuation groups, it's always been my belief that when anybody's conducting a drill, whether it's a director, a safety person, a bus driver, that children be held safe distance away from the bus. And then, and only then, when you have their attention, you take a book bag and you put it in that bus. And then you tell them that they're never, ever, ever to go back for anything underneath the bus. Because we can replace anything that's run over that bus, but we can't bring a child.
And that was done in this case. That is a company policy, that is a training, school district, the whole 9 yards. Kids are kids, and they're gonna do it. And it's ultimately driver responsibility to just make sure that they're all, they're not supposed to be. Sorry to have anything to do that.
But thanks for bringing up that point, Peter. That's excellent.
And it's good feedback, that's why it's kind of interesting, we were just kind of, we started out by trying to see what the results were on that pilot question that we had created about post trip inspection, and then we started looking, well, look, everybody seems to be missing needs, and they're related to mirrors, so if that's good feedback that can help with the training for school bus drivers, definitely we want to share that.
You mentioned location, you're right up against that redevelopment. Are you hearing rumors or any kind of?
You want to make it out the septic system, might actually get water.
My question
You know, we have to go all in porta potties.
is, you see the use of that septic facility for licensing?
For us to expand the space we have.
No, just not losing it, that's not.
Oh, not losing it? Oh, well, it's a discussion I don't really want to get into, right? Between two different. Well, we put the fence back up. We got the fence back up. Doesn't matter, the deer can still get in.
Yes.
That's a hazard, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting to get a test and see it's 6.5 right down the road.
There you go.
It's even worse when the troopers out there setting it up at 6 or 7 are walking around and you're just going, oh, I had a bowl. I had a bowl.
Yeah.
Yes.
We didn't see it, yeah. Just a little bit of feedback on med certs when they're being faxed in. It might be a good idea to maybe check how your faxes are being transmitted, just to maybe fax them to yourself and see what the copy looks like. And I've got a couple of examples here of ones that were faxed personally to me, send one each way, and you can kind of see how it's useless. There's nothing on there that's readable at all. The good news is that if it was accompanied by the self-cert form, we know who the driver is supposed to belong to. So we've been having them to write the driver and say, you know, the med cert that was faxed in is not readable. Please send us another copy of it, or come into the exam station or the DLH if we haven't answered. But the problem with that is, of course, is if somebody's up against the deadline and it's expired or it's already expired, it just lengthens the time for us to get it entered. So it might not be a bad idea to check what your faxes look like when you send them.
Oh, is it mandatory for fax, or is there an email option?
It's either fax, you can mail it in, or you can go and turn it in person.
We just make them go right next door. We have a station right next door.
And when it's done in person like that, it's actually updated and entered right then. Yeah, it should be anyways.
I don't give them the option.
Fax is convenient, but it's like anything else, technology can fail. They think it's really great technology, but you know. Other than that, we're just preparing for the train the trainer presentation that we'll do on Friday up there. Kathy and myself will be there, along with John McKay. So, other than that, so Len, the trainer. So this year we're going to talk about, there's been a lot of talk about pre-curricular requirements for earning your CDL. The pre-trip that you do on the CDL is a little different than the pre-trip that state patrol requires the drivers to do. And really the difference, I guess, is probably that our test is an input test. These are the things the driver should know, and it's been standardized across the United States. So we may have more specific things or different things. Some states, you know, school buses,
it's a little more regulated in some states than in other states. A lot of states are starting to catch up to that. But we have, we've required an S endorsement. It's been, highly regulated for a long time in Minnesota. So, what the driver is required to do maybe on a daily inspection versus the pre-trip is not necessarily the same. The information should kind of cross, but it's not always exactly the same. So we'll go through the pre-trip requirements and train the trainers, so you guys will know that. We've been very busy training this year. So far this year, I've trained 11 new examiners. Yeah, I've got 6 more scheduled in July, so we've had a lot of examiners for retirement, which is good for them and also good for us. It's hard to get the, it's hard to get the test scheduled and things like that. I know sometimes we, always try to get school bus testing as soon as we can. I'll say school bus testing, we will. A lot of the examiners that we train is been LC. So these are smaller stations that only staff with 2 and 3 examiners. So when you lose one and one case they lost all of their trained examiners, it's really hard to get these tests done. So think about that this summer as you're looking towards this fall or the road tests, and we'll lead time will always block some time out for you guys. But the earlier you can let us know that you're going to need tests. And you're working with regional supervisors to make sure that we can get those scheduled for you guys. Got a pretty big list for third-party testers also. Probably not going to do a class until this fall, which is not going to help you guys this summer. Problem is we've got new requirements from the Fed saying to do a third-party test every month. So with the requirements that the Feds have added on to what we've done with our third-party testers, we're reworking our curriculum for the third-party testers to make sure that they receive the training that they need plus the federal requirements. So we're going to expand the training from 5 to 8 days so we can get everything in and out of what just happened. And it's a pretty long and tough week for the ones that are there. A lot of stuff jammed in. Usually on the evaluations at the end of the whole, we could use 3 more days. So we're going to add those 3 more days to hold everyone comfortable with it once they get out. So if anybody that we're going to have a class this fall, so if you're interested in, contact me. If you don't have a program or you're replacing, because usually what happens is as soon as I set the class up and I'll get, well, hey, we're going to have a tester. I'm like, well, we just ran a class. It'll be in here. So if somebody is looking for a third-party tester, now will be the time to contact me. I'll get those applications out to you guys and I'll get those classes done for everybody else. Just want to mention too, with new drivers coming in, the permit process has changed, and I know we talked about this at the outreach, but there still seems to be a lot of confusion. So any driver that's coming in, whether they have a Class B license or a Class B or even a school bus, and they're removing their air rate restriction, they have to take all the knowledge tests when they come in that would apply to that vehicle. So treat them as if they don't have a CDL at all. When they come into our station, tell them, I'm going to take a road test in a school bus. But sometimes there's miscommunication when they come in. They say, oh, I got to remove my air rate restriction. And, on our side, we're working on it too, saying, well, what are you going to test it? Because if they're testing a school bus, they have to take all these knowledge tests to make sure when they show up for a test that they're not missing something for that permit. So just make sure that that's kind of passed along, I guess. I think that's all I have.
Yeah, should we just remind folks, due diligence when you're doing background checks for new drivers, please. Just what I'm going to politely tell you, you need to be contacting previous employers to find out about drivers. We're painfully aware of somebody that is moving around from facility to facility, attempting to get a job and such, is properly licensed, so on and so forth, and calling me or calling Deb about that situation, there isn't anything we can do. That he is properly licensed and properly tested for the vehicle that he wishes to operate. I just politely tell you that you need to do your background checks and determine whether or not this is an employee that you wish to have operating one of your vehicles. I'll leave it at that.
All right, any other questions for Deb or Kevin? Anything online? Awesome. Terrific, then we will keep on going and probably just ask you to, well, no, I guess change transfer. So train the trainer, here.
We had a meeting on June 10th at Grand Rapids about trained trainers. We've had a few glitches with our website and registration, and so far we have about 136 that we know of, and there might be more people that are registered that we don't. The website crashed, and the information that people are registering and is out there someplace, but we're not sure if we captured all of them. Tried to do a reconciliation of who sent in. Some people sent in that they will be paid. Some people sent in a check, but the person that registered is not the person that's attending, so it's hard to go back and reconcile, who that is. So we had a few glitches that we had to work through, vendor registration. So discussing at the meeting is to really look at standardizing how we do business. Looking at sexual harassment policy, looking for help with the Minnesota Council of Nonprofits to help us with some of our legal structure and how we do things. We want to implement a speaker contract because then it gives us the information that we really need to be able to have the best setup for success for the speakers and to be able to have all their needs and proper registration. We'll be having AV set up in each room so that each speaker would not need to bring a laptop or projector, that we have all the information there. Looking for to have a standard dress code for the individuals that are helping out, trainer shirts, khaki or black pants, same shirts every year. And to eliminate some of the confusions that we had this year is having a templated structure in how our agenda and things are laid out. There are some very specific restrictions with our meals and foods and break that is, when it's inconsistent for the hotel, it doesn't work because they have time and temperature rules that they have to abide by, and then we're adjusting that, and it throws their staffing and everything off. So we need to get to a standard schedule each day and know that those times are designated for breaks, lunch, and we'll only stay out for a certain period of time, and we have to take it away because of health codes. And I also believe that it will help with structuring our template and our agenda for each year. So this way, all you need to do is to be plugging in the speaker. We're asking each speaker for a photo and a bio so that the attendees would know a little bit about who's presenting and what they're presenting. And we're moving to Google Docs more so that the information will be out there for all the individuals that are either a planner or staff, that they can see the same information. They just need to go out there. If something is missing, this way someone can catch it right away rather than waiting and trying to go back and back up. We've also talked about the trainer for next year. We'll be our 25th wedding at Top. Feels like a marriage. We'll be the 25th anniversary, and so we're working out a lot of the glitches this year to make sure that going into next year that we have it connected there. And that's about all I have for the trainer.
Fantastic. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
I took a text message from Greg this morning, and then 136 came. That's up to 55 last month. Time for the trainer registration, and the mechanics have gone from 23 last month to 75. Right.
And I sent out a blast to just about every school district on Monday with a very nice flyer that was done by Jenny. So I'm hoping. So I had a lot of bounce back. So we need to go through that list. I had a lot of bounce back.
Yeah.
But I think more of it went through than Bob's back there. Because, you know, people change positions and emails and so on and so forth. That's to be expected. You know, so I hope many of you in this room received the blast. Thank you for that feedback, John. That's very helpful. There. Dave, did you guys get it? Okay, excellent. So we try to hit, I think, Kelly, first applying the list.
Yeah, you know, just to branch off from that idea, you know, our MDE org unit, or org, it's this database of all the information for each school district and non-public school, charter schools and intermediates and all that. There's a contact list, and it's been building, you know, the superintendents out there, the school nurse, homeless liaison, and I put a request in to have the transportation director in there too. So that would be something that each school district would maintain. And then if there's other people, you know, school bus contractors and stuff, we can always add them as a site. I think, but at least we could get the district people. So just stay tuned, it's in the works. But then there would be, you could export it as an Excel file, and then it's really the school districts that are maintaining that. You know, instead of me just once a year when I get the paper report, it's sort of wonder, yeah. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But that would be a good thing for you guys to communicate on.
Has anybody ever thought of checking that list, or state part of that list, with what's current at Minnesota school boards? Cross-check the two for
Yeah, and how does the school board maintain that?
I don't know, it would seem to me that with their office here in Minnesota, that they would have a network of data that would be accurate for.
I don't know if they would maintain it. They might hold the school board members or the chair, but I don't know, they don't get down to the school district transportation contact. Yeah.
Any other questions for me?
Terrific. School bus rodeo.
I'll fill in for Mike.
Please.
Yes, yeah, who sends his apologies for not being able to make it today. He's got some buses out on route, and unfortunately, he's left in the office today. So he says, I'll know when I get down there and something will go wrong. I just won't do it. So, anyway, so he shared just a couple things with me this morning and whatever. The rodeo was a huge success. We went from 47 participants last year to 83 this year. A lot of brand new people. Only 14 returning from the previous rodeos. So I think the message is getting out, and the feedback we got was wonderful. We already have people talking to the Shiftlers about, well, how do I register for next year? So I think that speaks volumes. We had a couple of glitches here or there, nothing serious, things that we can easily iron out. It was our first year doing it, and we learned a ton. We really, really did. So, like I said, from the facility, Deb, thank you again for the use of that, and thank you for your commitment to continue to allow us to do that. Your staff was phenomenal across the board, be it in bus judging to the exam station itself. The staff was wonderful. Josh and Tosh Schiffler represent MSBOA side of the operations, obviously Mike Schmedica for the school district side. But Josh and Tosh have been invited and are going to be going down to the National School Bus Rodeo in July. So I'm really, really excited for them to go and experience that and judge that and learn how it is that they're running the national event. In our discussions, that is probably where we're going to be going in the 2015 rodeo. This is that we are going to go to that national standard, so that when our person pulls out of first or second place, they can walk into that national event prepared and ready to go doing the exact same things. And so I'm really excited in talking with them down there. It sounds like really the make or break operation. Whatever they've got going, we couldn't figure it out. We tried to do it on the paper, whatever, but is their backing exercise. And they said that even the seasoned drivers, that was the determining factor of where they were at. So I'm really interested to see how that's going to lay out and take a run at that. Our vendor support was phenomenal, and that was just so nice to see because it gave us the funding to allow us to offer something rather unique this year. On a need basis, once they attend the rodeo and return, we are making it eligible to them a $500 stipend to cover some of their costs, and that came as a result of registrations and vendor support and things like that, and I foresee that expanding even more next year with some website changes coming on. So it works well. Scorekeeping is scorekeeping. Those 83 participants generated 996 data entries. Each one of those venues all have to be put in 83 times. And it was, I don't know, but you walked in the room, it was so well organized. But boy, I tell you what, I just went in there, dropped a little bit of paper off, and left because I was scared. They were so serious about what was going on in there, and they double and triple checked the numbers before anything went out. So I know that that's kind of a frustration that, geez, why does it take so long? So again, we learned some things, and we're going to set things up as to how participants participate next year to try to change the scoring process so that it can be a little bit faster and how that's done. And again, we use the Google Docs. That was really slick. 4 people doing data entry, and it was just boom, 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 and away they went. So keep an eye out. We're going to really be pushing that for next year. And I would love to get to a point where we just got to say, you know what, sorry, we have to turn you away. I don't know what point that will be, but again, thanks for all the support and everything from all of us.
Well, thank you, Paul, and thanks to Mike and Josh and Tosh and BBS and everybody that helped out because that sounds fantastic. The turnout is wonderful, and we really appreciate the fact that it's getting a new life and moving forward.
And our other big participant that I need to thank too was MinDOT, specifically the Golden Valley Sign Shop. That was a complaint that we consistently heard was that we don't know what this venue is. What is this the right turn? Is this whatever? So they provided signage for us this year. They delivered everything the day before. We went out that Friday night and set that course up. We had everything plus extra of what we asked for. And then came back out on Monday and picked it all up and away it went. So again, they've committed participation for us for the future too. So.
Okay. Question: who is going? Who's Tosh?
Josh and Tasha Schiffler.
Josh. Okay. So that's 2 different. Okay.
Husband and wife. Yep.
Okay.
Crosby Arrington.
Yes, I had an opportunity to visit a new station during the taken by the fact that was unable to identify lieutenant. He got me so much as to say, well, who are you? He was but the neat part was that I visited with people from Alaska, Wisconsin. If you remember Roger Saxon, former MVP president, he went down and those folks came out, they left at 4:30 in the morning to come out to our building. And literally all charged up with how to do this. They want to stand up and do it. I heard it more than want to see it. And it was time to do it. So that was good. That's a good connection. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yep.
Neat idea, huh?
We had a good time with that. No, we had vests to wear this year, so that it was very easy to identify who the judges were and who the officials were. So, it was
So
just cute.
who drivers the game at? Is that?
Yes, and then again, thanks to MTI for providing the golf cart. That was a huge success. And it really helped us a ton on the course or whatever, so there's got to be a million Facebook photos out there. They had a painted national school bus yellow, they put lights up on it, they put school bus on the front of it, yeah, it was great, they committed to letting us borrow it again next year, so. No. It was really MPV, multi-purpose golf cart.
There you go.
All right. Cindy's not here, so we don't have any update on the poster contest. And stakeholders, our next one will be in September, unless you have something that you want to say. Okay.
For the poster contest, we are going to twin team again this year with them. I did submit some pictures from last year to, which was it? It wasn't STN, it was Fleet. And it is like one of the entries that I submitted for our poster contest last year. This year I think it's August 21st. That is for taking kids to twin team. So, those letters sent out. Just waiting to get the contact information from Cindy for send the letters.
Terrific. Are you going to have sponsored participation again once everything's okay, Bradley?
We are going to go back out to the same sponsors we had last year, make it easier to use the shirt.
The same shirt. We're going to also try to, Tasha and Josh are going to try to reach out to McDonald's and something more larger corporate, try to get sponsorship. We're not always asking.
So if you have any,
Brian, you guys know we appreciate it. And more than willing to help out. But
if you have any contacts with any of those companies, you can pass them on to myself or Josh, Tasha, who will contact them on your behalf.
We have somebody to do that. Okay, fantastic, thank you. Organization reports, MSBOA. Anybody go to the summer conference? I haven't heard anything. I hope it went well.
I attended their summer conference, and it was a great summer conference. We had Bemidji, the representative from Bemidji, that was talking about special ed and the process of working with transportation and special ed. Did a great job, which was led by Kayla. We had Ben talking about special ed. His presentation, he did a fantastic job. Had many compliments I heard from people how well his presentation went. They have a reception, president's reception that I thought was absolutely fantastic in representing and recognizing drivers for their service and their folks for their participation in the organization, or MSBOA and the school buses. So I thought it was very successful, very well conference, and it was very meaningful. I'll speak on their behalf.
Right. Great, I'm glad it was a good success for them. And MAPT, we've already talked about train the trainers, so I think we're in good shape there for that. Okay, unless anybody has any questions, we'll talk about old business, driver shortage, which was brought up as a topic last month. And Keith hosted a meeting yesterday. If you just want to give a little highlights of this.
Well, John did a nice job taking notes. When we talked about what driver shortage is all about, is it demand, is it supply, is it, there's took notes as well, and it's both, and is it some of the requirements that we have for bus drivers now, very hoops that you jump through just to get a driver's license and how difficult that might be. The perception in the public of who a bus driver might be, and usually they're at the back end of the discussion and sometimes not talked about very well. But we talked about some of the things with demand have to do with, we seem to be doing a lot more with care and treatment programs, homeless programs, desegregation programs that your driver to student to driver ratio is much lower. You want to drive a bus and have 60 kids in your bus, or do you want to drive a van and have 2? Which would you like to do? Would you do the same? So there's some things there. There's some competition that's out there. So we talked about that, and you guys can add in anything else that we talked about. But we're just trying to get this together, and we'd like to do a survey, state with regard to what are they experiencing with driver shortage, are they contractor or not, what is the starting wage, the benefits, do they think that all the kindergarten will change their driver status because many who maybe are full-time now won't be full-time. So we've got a meeting set up in July to try and just kind of put some of our notes together and put a good survey together. We'd like to at least understand it and then come up with some helpful hints to people about what would be good. Some of the bus companies are offering bonuses because of the competition we have, not just from other school bus operators, but from over-the-road drivers, from delivery truck drivers. I've got CDL now, Metro Transit's been calling people. So we're just trying to kind of get our arms around what the problem is, to get a survey out and then come back. Okay.
Just some of the things that are impacting high demand on our departments. Looking at homeless care treatment, special ed, activities with multiple sports going multiple directions at the same time. It's very difficult for some of our contract to accommodate those type of requests because it's coming up right in prime time, and yet we're experiencing a driver shortage and yet we're having to hire.
So it is a work in progress, but I appreciate everybody that's joined in. I appreciate that. So now we're down to new business. Hi, Emily. Yes, sir.
I've got 2 items.
Okay.
One I'll pass around from, my wife says I'm great on paper. This is from Congress, and I believe these will say 4 schools, but there's a recognition retirement for Mark Vogel on June 26th at the Video at West 7th Street from 3 to 6 p.m. with a clock of 21 hours for dinner and gift. And I think you could probably Google their address at 533 Randolph, where the zip code is over there. So that's that. Okay. Then I picked this up from my email entry yesterday. This is from Mike Martin, Executive Director of the National Association for People Transportation. In a nutshell, that last month we became aware of a campaign spearheaded by the Laborers International Union of North America, press Congress for the highway bill, in school infrastructure with radio ads, billboards, online activity, grassroots action, uses the iconic school bus as a primary prop in a denigrating fashion. I think this is worthy of our attention to know. We need to keep aware of this. I think I'm going to send a copy of this to my 2 senators and representatives, just as a heads up to them as to how these schools are operating. School buses are the safest vehicle on our nation's roads. They're the most highly regulated, and for people to, I haven't even seen the bill that what you're talking about here. I want to search it out. Start bringing it to me today. The last thing I would say is that I'm very pleased and happy that the leadership of the industry is moving forward and everybody on the team looking into it, keep things relaxed. It's just truly like, you know, what I envisioned 5 years ago, moving to a higher level. There's no question. Letting somebody else in. So thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick. Sure. Well, you're going to bear some.
Well, I, hang on just one second, we're talking about PSA.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we did those PSAs with Century College, and there was some inquiries about getting that available to you, and if you want to contact the lieutenant, we've got them in some various formats, and we can get those out to you. And again, Debbie's pushing that through the exam stations and things like that. So just want to put those out there. We're going to start to use them for startup meetings and get them on the website and things. So
The high quality version is too big to email, but I did have it because it's a quick time, but I did have it converted to the media file. And depending on what your server will allow you to receive, I am able to attach those to email. It's not as good a quality, but it's starting to certainly get them on a DVD and do that on the quick time file. An email, all there.
All right, thank you.
Sometimes special.
Yeah.
Keith,
Well, I think, I don't know if this is your last meeting in or not.
Well, here's what I was thinking, that, because we hold elections in September, but I know my term was for 2 years, that I'll maybe just come in September and bring everything with me. That way I'll figure out how to get the meeting notice out and so on, because my contact lists are still here. And then I need to figure out how to transfer that contact list to someone, because I don't think we would have an election here today.
no.
So, and I think the election would technically be just for 1 year.
Well, we can do it in two different ways. I was going to talk to the group about that. We can either do a 1-year election, or we can appoint somebody to finish out your term.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
And,
That's what we
and
would
just
do.
ask for somebody to volunteer to take over for 1.
So what I thought I would do is in the minutes here, just saying that we will be meeting secretary, that we will be or appointing somebody, and if you're interested, blah, blah,
Show
blah.
some interest, yes.
So I would come to the September meeting, and then I can bring files that are all the ones that.
Okay, are we still allowed to celebrate it?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, well, we appreciate that, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
if you do that.
It just will be an easier changeover, I think.
Okay. But in lieu of the fact that you are still retired.
Yes, I am.
And
10 more days.
unfortunately, Leanne is not here, and if there's anybody else retiring, I want to celebrate retirement in general, so, all of you, no, just kidding.
2 years and 8 months, then you. I got you.
But I do want to celebrate, wonderful, wonderful years of service and support and all of us, but I'll let Keith take the floor. Keith.
Well, I was 41 years, 41? 41. I met you in August of 1984, so 30 years ago. Emily was a union steward with bus drivers here, and a leader, but we always had pretty good meetings. We didn't have some grievances that we had to work through, but always fair in our discussions, and just great. It was great to work with Emily. And actually so good that when we had a safety coordinator position available, Emily applied, her employee, and we hired her. And there was a little union stuff going on there after we hired her, but she came. I remember sending Emily this letter, I think, after you accepted it. It was about 3 pages of things we were needing to do. And you called me and said, I could put it down. I couldn't, you're reading this, I put it down. I had to pick it up because I was thinking about what I needed to do next. And I was really excited about that. But I think of Emily as the ever-ready battery kind of bunny. She's just always going. Union steward, I had to write a novel, that church leader, Girl Scout leader, was on city council in Newport when Wapuna Bridge was being discussed, and they came, I think they came to the city of Newport to say they needed a lot of money, and you said, the city of Newport said, where's most money? So work with the legislators on how to get the things funded and built, because the traffic always backs up down here between Canada and 7 in Jamaica down here, because you have to get through the stoplights and whatnot. Many years ago, when MAPT and SPLA folks were putting together a new video series because the LaBelle training system, you guys know whatever, is where the slide projector and the cassette tape went in and it beeped in the slide. Yeah, okay, that's the old stuff. So then we did the video and someone did the preacher that I volunteered at one of these meetings and Emily wasn't there. I volunteered at one of these meetings to say, sure, we'll help with that. And I saw Emily and talked to her and I said, we need a volunteer to do this. And she said yes, and she didn't know what I wanted yet that she was volunteering for. So she volunteered to do the first video, the pre-trip video, and Emily did a ton of work on that, from writing the script, writing it on the cue card so she could have it up. It was a hot August, and Emily would come in every day with the same outfit on for about a week because she had.
Because it was only a 15-minute video.
And she'd have the writer, and then she'd put it up, and then you'd come up and do the video,
and check the oil. And check the oil. I must have checked the oil on that about 25 times.
You think of it, thousands of people in that video. And that was a funny, a hot day. So just hundreds of thousands, I should say thousands of people have seen it. But whatever Emily does, she makes a difference, really, positive. There's one, I think though, you go around when we did the watch thing. I'll tell you about it again. So at the old office, someone left a watch. There's a black watch that in earlier digital times where you would push the button and set the time, and you would push the button to set the alarm. Well, someone left it on the bus, and I'm sitting by the dispatch desk, and at 1 o'clock or so every day, it would go off. And it had one of these sounds, you couldn't figure out exactly where it was, but you knew something was going off. It would go for 30 seconds. And so Emily's office was right by the back door, and it had a grate in the ceiling right above the door. So I took it and put it above the door. And for a while, she couldn't figure out what that beeping was, and she found it. And so after a while, everybody was at their desk at 1 o'clock, and every day, because we wanted to know who had it, where did it go today, that she hid it behind the bulletin board or under a chair or in a file cabinet or something. It was just, it was fun stuff. But so anyway, it was just goofy stuff. But congratulations on it. Well worth it.
I just want to say, and that's why it's really hard with this committee, or any committee that I'm on, because I'm on lots and lots and lots and lots of committees and boards and so on, that, this one, it's kind of like when I'm in Girl Scouts, I meet people, in Girl Scouts I meet people from all over the country and actually the world, so some of the traveling I've done with Girl Scouts, but here I meet people from all over the industry that have such different perspectives, from the private to the public to the contractors, that you learn so much. And I know when I first started on this committee, I was a driver, and I was the first driver to ever come to this committee because it was all those big mucky ones that were on this. I kept stating over and over and over again, this is the most important committee that I'm on, not only for my job, but for what else I do. People there, I have neighbors and friends that, what about such and such? Have you heard about this? And they think I know everything. And I just tell them call Paul Davis.
And they do.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to see you go.
Yes.
Not quite as much as John.
People has been really a pleasure, and the trainers and rodeos and all the other fun stuff that we've all done together and enjoyed. So thank you.
Well, thank you. There's, I brought a cake in the back. Please, we'll ask you to cut it up and everybody share it. And I know there's other food in the back. And we'll just take some time to celebrate you and everybody else and celebrate the fact that we got through the school year. So, unless anybody else has anything to say or do, we will conclude this meeting and this school year. And our next meeting is in Anoka on September 17th, and it will be with the stakeholders. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
I just want to.
Okay.